On a nondescript Wednesday in mid-December 2000, 7 dangerous men walked away from a Texas maximum security prison, orchestrating one of the most brazen escapes in American history. Their plan was nearly flawless, and their escape set off a massive manhunt that saw local, state, and federal authorities scrambling to catch up. Desperate to catch them, police found themselves always one step behind, until they finally crossed paths with deadly consequences. I'm Laura. I'm here with my best friend Marina, and this is Grim.
¿Dónde están los 5 millones de dólares que me robaste?
Gloria tendrá que encontrar el dinero. Su vida y la de su hijo dependen de ello.
Hay que acorralar a la viuda.
¡Tengo mucho miedo, mamá!
El peor de los caminos será el único posible.
A mí no me importa ir a la cárcel con tal de salvar a mi hijo.
En la nueva superserie de Telemundo,
Esta mujer es clave. Que empiece la cacería.
La Jefa. Esta noche a las 10:09 Centro. Por Telemundo.
This episode is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Fiscally responsible, financial geniuses, monetary magicians. These are things people say about drivers who switch their car insurance to Progressive and save hundreds. Visit progressive.com to see if you could save. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Potential savings will vary, not available in all states or situations.
I'm really excited. I like prison escapes. The last time you told me about one, it was that guy and the girl.
Casey White and Vicky White. Because
They had the same last name?
They did, but that it was weird because they obviously weren't married.
That is weird.
Yeah. This one is crazy. It's crazy.
I'm excited.
That's all. I was like, I got to tell you the whole thing about it.
Okay, so just a heads up, Laura and I both have 2 brain cells left, and they're fighting for third place. So there's not enough Celsius. The caffeine is gone.
And we did have afternoon caffeine, and
I did not.
or afternoon delight. That's the part we were.
I didn't
missing.
have that either. Nope.
Oh, you didn't have afternoon caffeine? I thought you did.
Neither
I'm
of the
sorry.
things.
Oh,
Nope.
I'm so sorry.
No.
All I had was a Diet Coke because I was afraid if I had a Celsius in the afternoon that I would be awake until Sunday. And it's Wednesday.
Yeah, I didn't want to have caffeine and then be up all night. So
No. The Diet Coke felt like a reasonable mid ground.
if you hear this noise, it's just me falling asleep on the microphone.
I just want you to know that instead of hitting it with her hand to demonstrate, she actually hit her face.
Of course I did.
Okay.
Okay.
So, this is a nice short case, and we just have a couple of Patreons. Oh, wait, this is actually a very long case. And we have a whole bunch of Patreons.
Whoop, whoop,
woo, woo. Is it Patreon? I think I ask this every time we say this.
It's Patrons.
Okay, thank you.
Like the
Thank you.
shot.
First up, we have Ice Cold.
I'm kidding. It's Patreon.
Okay. Well, I know the site
Patreons.
is Patreon, but I just mean
Patreons.
like the people that sign up, are they patrons? Patreons, whatever, they're Patreons.
They're patrons of Patreon.
They're gremlins is
Okay.
what they are. Okay, buckle up, people. You can fast forward if you're not into this or your name's not on here, so bear with us. We're going to woo-woo.
Oh, whoa, whoa.
Only in the morning. Okay. First up, we have Libby.
Libby!
Libby, we love you, Libby.
Thank you.
Susie R.
Susie
R. We love you, Susie.
We love
Thank
you
you
so
very
much.
much.
Thank you.
Barbara R.
Barbara R.
We love you.
Babs, we love you so much. Thank you.
I don't know.
Laura's like,
That's what my son says. He figured out you can like tap someone's head and he goes, bop. And
Okay.
it's the cutest thing ever.
close. Close to Barbara, but
Okay.
not.
Love you, Bop. Ella.
Ella,
we love you.
Ella, A. We love you so much. Thank you.
Thanks, Ella. Mary Diana, Miry.
Mary Diana. Why were you like confused?
Because I didn't know how to pronounce it. Mary? I don't know. Miry.
Oh, Miry.
not Mary.
I thought you said Mary, and I'm like, what's happening?
It's a little Midwestern of me.
Mary? We love you so much.
I love you, Miri. We're not making fun of you. We're making fun of us.
We are, because we can't pronounce
we
names.
Love you.
We love you. Thank you so much.
I get anxiety about these, actually, because I know I'm going to pronounce things wrong, and then I overthink it. And
Thankfully, our gremlins are so nice. They're like, you ruined it, but I thought it was hilarious. And we're like, thank you so much.
We love you.
We love you so much.
Emma T.
Emma T.
Or is it Emma? I'm just kidding.
Emma,
we love you.
We love you
Thank
so
you.
much. You're the best.
Presley.
Presley. We love you so much.
We love you. Thank you, Presley. Ty L.
Ty L. We love you so
Ty.
much.
Thank
Whoop,
you.
whoop.
Lizzie C.
Lizzie
Thank
C.
you, Lizzie.
Thank
We
you so
love
much.
you.
We love you.
Callan S.
I'm just thinking my husband's sitting near us. Do you think he's like, I'm going to die right now?
Yes.
Callan S. Thank you so much.
love
We love you.
We love you, husband, too. Sierra, I distracted myself. Sierra, we love you.
Oh,
That's it.
I
There's
was
no
waiting for a
initial.
letter.
Nope,
Sierra,
sorry.
we love you so
Sierra.
much. Whoop, whoop.
Kirsten T.
Kirsten T. Whoop,
We
whoop.
love you.
We love you so much. Thank you.
And this person gave, I believe, a pronunciation, and why would I write that on here? Why would I do that?
Oh, no.
Kira.
Kira.
I hope
Kira
I've
T,
tried.
we love you so
I know you told me.
much.
I think that's what it is. Okay.
Did
we
I?
love you.
Oh,
no, not
Kira.
you.
Okay.
She did. Yeah.
Thank you so much. We love you.
We love you. Lottie S.
Lottie
we
S.
love you,
Whoop,
Lottie.
whoop. We
Thank
love
you
you
very
so
much.
much. We love you a Lottie.
I have a whole. Oh, she went there. Yep. Maureen H.
Maureen
we love
H.
you.
Whoop,
Momo,
whoop.
we love you. That is a
Only
nickname.
in the Momo.
We love you. Carlos D.
Carlos D. We love you so much. Whoop, whoop, whoop.
Now, this person didn't give me a pronunciation. Christiana, Kristjana. Christiana?
Yeah, sure.
I think so.
Christiana, we love you so
We
much.
love you. Thank you.
I think it's Christianina.
Yes, that's, you know what? She did send it in, and that's actually what she meant.
We
Yeah.
love
Okay.
you so much.
We love
Thank you.
Vanessa B.
Vanessa.
We love you,
B.
Vanessa.
We love you so much.
Thanks, Vanessa.
Whoop, whoop.
We're getting there, guys. We're almost done. Cassie H.
Cassie H.
we love
Whoop,
you.
whoop.
Thank
We love you
Cassie.
so much.
Whoop, whoop.
Thank you.
Megan M. we
Megan
love you,
M.
Megan.
We
Thank
love
you
you so
very
much.
much.
Thank you, thank you.
Alistair T.
Alistair
Woo,
T.
woo,
Woo, woo. We
We
love
love
you so
you.
much.
Grave Alice. We
Grave
love you, Grave Alice,
Alice.
because
Woo,
you're grave
woo. We
and you're
love you so
grim. And we love
much.
you. I don't know why this became like WWE.
I don't know.
We're grave.
Coming in the left corner, it's Grave Alice.
Up next, Melissa C.
Melissa C. We love you so much. Thank you.
This must be the Diet Coke. Okay. Gina. We love you, Gina.
We love you so much.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. I'm sweating.
I'm crying. I'm sweating out of my eyes. Melissa J.
Melissa J.
We
We love you so much. Thank
Woo,
you.
woo, we love you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. We love you.
Natty M.
Natty
Natty.
M.
Woo,
Is that
woo.
like Natty Ice?
No, that would be Natty I. This is Natty M.
I know, but is it like Natty? Like N-A-T-T-I?
Yes, it is.
Nat. Whoa. Was it M? Natty M. We love you so much. Thank you so much.
Your brain just stopped functioning
It
in the middle of
broke.
that.
It broke.
That's the end of Patreon shoutouts.
Wow.
Now, every time we do that, I watch our recording thing like a hawk because I'm paranoid that like 97% of the way through that, it's going to stop recording. It does not, but I always want to joke about it with you, and then I don't.
Okay, and before we get off of Patreon shoutouts, this is not a Patreon shoutout, but
So we can get off of Patreon shoutouts.
into segue into just
Okay,
another
okay.
shout out. Dave C. Go on a cruise. I'm really excited. I like Prison Escapes. The last time you told me about one, it was that guy and the girl.
Casey White and Vicky White. Because they
They
had
have the same last name?
They did, but it was weird because they obviously weren't married.
That is weird.
Yeah. This one is crazy. It's crazy.
I'm excited.
That's all. I was like, I got to tell you the whole thing about it.
Okay, so just a heads up, Laura and I both have 2 brain cells left, and they're fighting for third place. So there's not enough Celsius. The caffeine is gone.
And we did have afternoon caffeine, and it's
I did not.
or afternoon delight. That's the part we were.
I didn't
missing.
have that either. Nope.
Oh, you didn't have afternoon caffeine? I thought you did.
Neither
I'm
of the
sorry.
things.
I'm
Nope.
so sorry.
No.
All I had was a Diet Coke because I was afraid if I had a Celsius in the afternoon that I would be awake until Sunday. And it's Wednesday.
Yeah, I didn't want to have caffeine and then be up all night. So
No. The Diet Coke felt like a reasonable mid ground.
if you hear this noise, It's just me falling asleep on the microphone.
I just want you to know that instead of hitting it with her hand to demonstrate, she actually hit her face.
Of course I did.
Okay.
Okay.
So, this is a nice short case, and we just have a couple of Patreons. Oh, wait, this is actually a very long case. And we have a whole bunch of Patreons.
Woo, woo,
woo. Is it Patreon? I think I ask this every time we say this.
It's Patrons.
Okay, thank you.
Like the shot.
First up, we have Ice Cold.
I'm kidding. It's Patreon.
Okay. Well, I know the site is Patreon.
Patreons.
But I just mean like the people that sign up, are they patrons? Patreons, whatever, they're patrons.
They're patrons of Patreon.
They're gremlins is what they are. Okay, buckle up, people. You can fast forward if you're not into this or your name's not on here. So bear with us. We're going to woo-woo.
A woo-woo.
Only in the morning. Okay. First up, we have Libby.
Libby,
we love you, Libby.
Thank you.
Susie R.
Susie
R. We love you, Susie. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Barbara R.
Barbara R.
We love you.
Babs, we love you so much. Thank you.
I don't know.
Laura's like,
that's what my son says. He figured out you can like tap someone's head and he goes, bop. And
Okay.
It's the cutest thing ever.
Close to Barbara, but
Okay.
not.
Love you, Bop. Ella, we love you.
Ella, A. We love you so much. Thank you.
Thanks, Ella. Mary Diana, Miry.
Mary Diana. Why were you like confused?
Because I didn't know how to pronounce it. Mary? I don't know. Miry.
Oh, Miry.
Not Mary.
I thought you said Mary, and I'm like, what's happening?
It's a little Midwestern of me.
Mary? We love you so much.
We love you, Miri. We're not making fun of you. We're making fun of us.
We are,
Okay,
because we can't
okay.
pronounce
We
names.
love you.
We love you. Thank you so much.
I get anxiety about these actually because I know I'm going to pronounce things wrong and then I overthink it. And
Thankfully, our gremlins are so nice. They're like, you ruined it, but I thought it was hilarious. And we're like, thank you so much.
We love you.
We love you so much.
Emma T.
Emma T.
Or is it Emma? I'm just kidding.
Emma,
we love you.
We love you
Thank
so
you.
much. You're the best.
Presley.
Presley, we love you so much.
We love you. Thank you, Presley. Ty L.
Ty L, we love you so
Ty.
much.
Thank
Whoop,
you.
whoop.
Lizzie C.
Lizzie
Thank
C,
you, Lizzie.
thank
We
you so
love
much.
you.
We love you.
Callan S.
Yeah, I'm just thinking my husband's sitting near us. Do you think he's like, I'm going to die right now?
Yes.
Callan S, thank you so
We
much.
love
We love you.
We love you, husband, too. Sierra, I distracted myself. Sierra, we love you.
Oh,
That's it.
I
There's
was
no
waiting for a
initial.
letter.
No,
Sierra,
sorry.
we love you so
Sierra.
much. Whoop, whoop.
Kirsten T.
Kirsten T, whoop,
We
whoop.
love you.
We love you so much. Thank you.
And this person gave, I believe, a pronunciation, and why would I write that on here? Why would I do that?
Oh, no.
Kira.
Kira.
I hope
Kira
I've
T,
tried.
we love you so
I know you told me.
much.
I think that's what it is. Okay.
Did
we
I?
love you.
Oh,
no, not you.
Kira. Okay.
She did. Yeah.
Thank you so much. We love you.
We love you. Lottie S.
Lottie
we
S.
love you,
Whoop,
Lottie.
whoop. We
Thank
love
you
you
very
so
much.
We love you a Lottie.
I have a whole. Oh, she went there. Yep. Maureen H.
Maureen
Hey, we
H.
love you.
Whoop, whoop.
Momo, we love you. That is a
Only
nickname.
in the Momo.
We love you. Carlos D.
Carlos D. We love you so much. Woo, woo, woo.
Now, this person didn't give me a pronunciation. Christiana, Chris, Kristjana. Christiana?
Yeah, sure.
I think so.
Christiana, we love you so
We
much.
love you. Thank you.
I think it's Christianina.
Yes, that's you know what? She did send it in, and that's actually what she meant.
We
Yeah.
love
Okay.
you so much.
We love
Thank you.
Vanessa B.
Vanessa.
We love you,
B.
Vanessa.
We love you so much.
Thanks, Vanessa.
Woo, woo.
We're getting there, guys. We're almost done. Cassie H.
Cassie,
we
H.
love
Woo,
you.
woo.
Thank
We love you so
Cassie.
much.
Woo, woo.
Thank you.
Megan M. we
Megan
love you, Megan.
M.
Thank
We
you
love you so
very
much.
much.
Thank you, thank you.
Alistair T.
Alistair T. Woo, woo. We love you so much.
Grave Alice. We love
Grave
you, Grave
Alice.
Alice, because
Woo,
you're grave
we
and you're
love you so
grim. And we love
much.
you. I don't know why this became like WWE.
I don't know.
We're grave.
Coming in the left corner, it's Grave Alice.
Up next, Melissa C.
Melissa C. We love you so much. Thank you.
This must be the Diet Coke. Okay. Gina. We love you, Gina.
We love you so much. Thank you. I'm sweating.
I'm crying. I'm sweating out of my eyes. Melissa J.
Melissa J. We love you so much. Thank you.
We love you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. We love you.
Natty M.
Natty
Natty.
M.
Woo,
Is
woo.
that like Natty Ice?
No, that would be Natty I. This is Natty M.
I know, but is it like Natty? Like N-A-T-T-I?
Yes, it is.
What was it, M? Natty M! We love you so much! Thank you so much.
Your brain just stopped functioning
It broke.
in the middle of that.
It broke.
That's the end of Patreon shoutouts.
Wow.
Now, every time we do that, I watch our recording thing like a hawk because I'm paranoid that like 97% of the way through that, it's going to stop recording. It does not, but I always want to joke about it with you, and then I don't.
Okay, and before we get off of Patreon shoutouts, this is not a Patreon shoutout, but
so we can get off of Patreon shoutouts.
and to segue into just another shout out, just came back from Florida. Husband had travel agency conference thing for the travel agents.
It's a good thing I'm doing the case. Yes, go on.
And his friend is a travel agent, and her husband, Dave C., doesn't like to travel. So Dave C., go on a cruise.
He was like trying to better himself and tell them how bad prison was. He even referenced the film American Me, warning them about the harsh realities of prison. I've never seen that.
Neither have I.
But he couldn't follow his own guidance. Despite his efforts, Donald struggled to find work as an ex-con in a small town, eventually violating parole by working for another ex-felon, landing him back in jail.
That's
which
really
is
hard.
really shitty.
I hate that.
I also hate that. Yeah.
I do think it's really sad when people do try to turn their life around and just struggle from having a bad past.
I agree.
It's just tough.
And I actually went to, so we're near Hartford, and for a team dinner, we went to a place, Fire by Forge in Hartford. I'm happy to give them a shout out because they were amazing. And their mission is to give jobs to people who are like, I forget how they phrased it, labor, job market challenge. There was like a phrase for it where it's things like that. Like there are these, limitations for them to be able to go into the workforce, and they actually have like a culinary institute that they train people, and then they have them do like an internship at this restaurant, and it is absurdly good. But I thought it was such a great mission because they have like an upcharge on it's a regular restaurant experience, but they just have a bit of an upcharge to pay for that culinary institute, and it's just amazing.
That's awesome.
Anyway, just a Fire by Forge if you're in the Hartford, Connecticut area.
That's wonderful.
It's wonderful. I don't know why I had to say the same thing.
It's wonderful.
It's wonderful though. Yeah.
Is it wonderful?
It's wonderful. All right. Speaking of not wonderful, even once he was free again, Donald couldn't stay out. In 1997, he committed a string of robberies, also along I-35, including holding up an inn in Austin. That's really hard to say.
An inn in
Austin. Well, it's because it's La Quinta. How do you say that?
La Quinta.
I've never said that out loud.
The La Quinta Inn.
Yeah, okay. Well, I was trying to avoid saying that, but then I was like,
an inn.
Anyway, he had a sawed-off shotgun for that time. He stole just $65, and surveillance footage led to his swift arrest. At his trial, prosecutors called him a habitual offender with no remorse. No shit. However, authorities described him as oddly charming and almost likable, said one officer. The judge didn't care, sentenced him to 99 years in prison.
This episode is brought to you by Buffalo Trace Distillery. Powerful yet smooth. Contained but never tame. Proudly going their own way, but never going alone. This is the spirit inside Buffalo Trace Bourbon. Made at Buffalo Trace Distillery, the world's most award-winning distillery. Buffalo Trace is always perfectly untamed. Distilled, aged, and bottled by Buffalo Trace Distillery, Franklin County, Kentucky. 90 proof, 45% alcohol by volume. Learn more at buffalotracedistillery.com. Please drink responsibly.
This episode is brought to you by MeUndies. Underwear drawers are like the Wild West. You never know what you're going to pull out or what shape it's in. So upgrade your collection with the buttery soft comfort of MeUndies. MeUndies' signature fabric is as soft as a warm hug from your favorite sweater. Plus, it's breathable and oh so comfy, making it ideal for all-day wear. Get 20% off your first order, plus free shipping at MeUndies.com/Spotify with code Spotify. That's MeUndies.com/Spotify, code Spotify.
Joseph C. Garcia was 29 years old when he joined the rest of the seven, but his story began in San Antonio, Texas, where he was born into a middle-class family on November 6, 1971. By all accounts, Joseph had little history of serious trouble with the law. Words are hard. Just a few misdemeanor arrests until one fateful night in February 1996. At 24, Joseph was married and working as a maintenance worker at a San Antonio airport hangar. He had a reputation for drinking heavily on his days off. Don't we all? And that February night was no exception. After spending a day at the bar, Joseph was driving home with Miguel Luna, a friend who was also drunk, when an argument erupted over Miguel giving him incorrect directions. The disagreement quickly escalated. After pulling the car over, Joseph and Miguel fought. Miguel grabbed the car keys and ran, but Joseph chased him down with a knife.
Ooh.
Witnesses reported seeing Joseph tackle Miguel in the courtyard of an apartment complex and stab him 19 times.
That's a lot of times.
Shouting, "Die, motherfucker, die." Just
Crime
in
of
case
passion.
I was going to say, just in case you were wondering, 16 of the wounds were to Miguel's chest and back, and he succumbed to his injuries shortly after. Joseph was arrested and charged with murder. At his trial, he claimed, as you said, self-defense, arguing that Miguel had been looking at him menacingly and wanted to fight, which is probably true, but does not seem like that you can just murder someone for that.
He chased him down with the knife.
Yeah.
So.
Yep. The prosecution painted the picture of Miguel's 3 daughters who were now left fatherless. Joseph was convicted of murder and sentenced to 50 years in prison. While incarcerated, Joseph maintained that he had been unfairly represented during his trial, filing complaints and motions that were ultimately dismissed.
Shocking.
Yes. Our next member of the 7 is Randy Ethan Halpern, and his troubled life began in McKinney, Texas on September 13th, 1977. By the time he was 6 years old, Child Protective Services had removed him and his younger brother from an abusive home and placed them in foster care. They were later adopted by Daniel and Patricia Halpern. I don't know why that name's hard for me. Halpern.
Is it Halperin?
P-R-I-N.
P-R.
Halpern.
Okay.
Halpern. Yeah. Isn't that Jim from The Office? Isn't it Jim Halpern?
Halpern? Help.
Help.
Jim help.
Help. That's what my son says.
Help.
Because we always try to get him to pronounce the last letter of things, so
Okay.
he always goes help.
There's a comedian who talks about pronunciation. Enunciation?
Well, it depends
With
what you mean.
With animals, he was like, who's ever heard a howl go, hoot? Hoot.
My son. That's who. That's hoot. Okay. Anyway, Daniel and Patricia were a loving couple who owned an electronics business and provided a stable home in Dalworthington Gardens. But despite their efforts, Randy's life took a dark turn, as you might have suspected, given this case. As a child, Randy did show signs of intelligence, but also an unsettling detachment from reality. Not how you want to describe
I think
someone.
that's like
No.
psychopathy.
By the 8, I'm sure that's not what it is, and someone will correct us because we are uneducated. So
We're 0 out of 10 for guessing
really,
psychological
it's bad.
diagnoses.
We acknowledge this.
We do our best.
By age 13, Randy was obsessively mapping out alien landing sites
Oh,
and
boy.
demonstrating a penchant for rebellion, such as leading 30 boys out of a church camp in the middle of the night and into a nearby city. His adoptive parents sent him to a boarding school in Kentucky in an attempt to rein him in. At first, he performed well academically, but soon his behavior spiraled. He was expelled after incidents of shoplifting, vandalism, and sneaking out of the dorms. With nowhere to go, Randy ended up on the streets after his adoptive parents cut ties. He survived in homeless shelters and eventually returned to Texas, where he moved into an apartment with a woman he had met at the shelter. But this was a bad decision for everyone involved. In August 1996, Randy brutally assaulted the woman's infant son
Oh, no.
after the baby wouldn't stop crying.
Oh, no.
That's all I'm saying about that. Arrested and evaluated by a psychiatrist who is actually able to diagnose.
Yes, okay.
Randy was found to have average intelligence, but severe impulse control problems paired with poor judgment, which is a very bad combination.
Yes.
Randy pleaded guilty to causing serious bodily injury to a child and was sentenced to 30 years in prison, which I feel like that should maybe also be 99 years, but anyway. Up next, Larry James Harper, born in Danville, Illinois on September 10th, 1963, was 37 years old and serving time for a series of rapes when he escaped. Larry grew up in a turbulent household with a mother who was reportedly abusive and a father who was a decorated Special Forces officer who was largely absent. After his parents divorced when Larry was 10, he and his brother lived with their father on military bases, but the lack of parental involvement was a problem. An intelligent and disciplined student, Larry earned an associate's degree in military science and attempted to follow his father's path by joining the Army Reserve and undergoing airborne and infantry training. However, his inability to meet his own expectations, left him deeply disappointed. By 1986, he was attending the University of Texas at El Paso. That's El Paso. Okay. Majoring in marketing while working as a substitute teacher and bookstore clerk. Larry's descent began in 1993 after a breakup and heavy drinking. That year, he committed his first known rape, holding a knife to his victim and telling her, "I'm not going to let you go to waste," which is like a creepy. I just hate that. Yeah. This was followed by more assaults, voyeurism, and near-miss encounters with law enforcement. Larry's escalating pattern of behavior culminated in his arrest in 1994 after returning to the scene of a previous voyeurism incident to commit another rape.
Okay.
Surprisingly, during his trial, Larry took full responsibility for his actions, pleaded guilty, and expressed genuine remorse. He apologized to his victims and described his behavior as cowardly. Dr. Karen Gold, who was a psychiatrist that evaluated him, noted that Larry suffered from severe depression, suicidal tendencies, and feelings of rejection from women. He was described as remorseful but emotionally broken, with a need to feel in control, however fleeting, which is just tragic. And the jury sentenced him to 50 years in prison.
I just keep thinking, at least, nothing pisses me off more than when we have a case where these people do horrendous things, but they have like a beautiful childhood with the white picket fence and everything. Yep. And you're just like, wow, you were just born a horrible person.
Exactly.
So
versus
these
like
guys
this
have had
least,
rough childhoods.
Yep. Now, we're going to pivot a little because Michael Anthony Rodriguez... I thought for a second the way you said that sounded like in Step Brothers when he's like, pow, pow.
Oh, no.
Right in the kisser. Okay.
No.
Anyway, Michael, we're ridiculous.
We're pretty special.
I never think about how this must sound going back because this is just how we talk.
It
must be really disturbing listening. Sorry.
Well, I like when people are like, oh, I feel like I'm sitting at the table with them and hanging out with friends. Well, this is literally what we're doing. Laura's telling me a story I've never heard before.
It's great. And Marina's talking about movies I've seen that, but okay. Anyway, I got distracted and I forgot what you referenced.
Friends.
Oh, yes, I know that. It's not a movie.
Nope.
It's been a long day, guys.
I know.
Okay. Anyway, Michael Anthony Rodriguez was born on October 29th, 1962 in San Antonio, Texas. I don't know why I can't say that.
I don't know.
Michael was quite unlike the other men I just told you about.
Oh.
He was an entrepreneur, running his own restaurant, dressing fashionably, and enjoying the finer things in life, including a yellow classic Mercedes-Benz and a Rolex.
A yellow Mercedes?
Yeah, it's sporty.
Huh.
I don't know.
Okay.
I didn't see a picture.
Okay.
It's probably pretty ugly.
Might be.
He had attended Central Catholic High School in San Antonio and seemed focused on a bright future. He worked at Taco Bell and saved enough money to pursue his dream of owning a restaurant. He eventually opened the Taco House restaurant with a loan from his father, which proved to be successful. By 1992, Michael and his wife Teresa were living comfortably. However, this veered off course when he began attending classes at Southwest Texas State University and became infatuated with a young woman.
Oh, no.
He began writing her letters, describing himself as a lonely widower, even though he was very much still married to a living woman. Mm-hmm. But maybe he was just manifesting what he wanted for his future.
Oh, no.
He had become dissatisfied with his wife for gaining weight after they got married. Fuck you.
Yep.
And as a result, wanted her dead.
There's something called divorce.
No kidding.
Going through the big D and don't mean Dallas.
That was really nice.
Thank you.
I liked the depth. It was nice and deep. I liked it. His brother Mark, a cocaine dealer, became involved in Michael's plan to murder Teresa. With 2 substantial life insurance policies on Teresa's life, the brothers conspired to kill her so that Michael could collect the insurance money. Mark promised to find a hitman in exchange for $50,000. They eventually recruited Roland Ruiz, a 20-year-old ex-convict, to carry out the murder for $2,000.
Wow.
Initially, the plan was to kill Teresa outside a restaurant, but Roland backed out because he was sketched out when he got to the location. After several failed attempts, they decided Roland would carry out the murder at the couple's home. In October 1992, after a night out at the movies, Michael drove his wife into the garage where Roland was waiting. He shot Teresa in the head as she opened the car door. Roland fled and Teresa died almost instantly.
Wow. I hope my husband chooses divorce if he ever decides that we're through.
If you had to go to the movies and then that was your last movie ever, what would you see?
Oh, I can't. I'm crippled by the choices. I can't.
With all of the movies you always reference.
I know.
There's too many, all of them.
Oh no. Yeah, I don't know.
I don't think I have an
I'm
answer.
sweating
either.
thinking
Okay.
about
all right,
it.
You,
oh my
you
gosh.
come back to me. Okay. Roland, spending the money quickly on clothes and partying, eventually attracted suspicion from his mother, who kicked him out of the house. Police connected the dots after learning about the letters Michael had written to the young woman and his behavior after his wife's funeral. When confronted with Roland's confession, Michael admitted to his involvement in the murder plot. Michael and Mark received life sentences for Teresa's murder, while Roland was sentenced to death. Our last person.
And in Texas.
I haven't been keeping count.
Shit, there's like a fast lane in Texas.
Yes. Okay, so on to our last guy, George. I actually just realized because I read the book, I wasn't watching any like documentaries on this. I don't actually. It's Rivas. I don't know if it's Rivas or Rivas. Rivas, I think. Rivas. George was born on May 6th, 1970 in El Paso. Why do I keep doing
El Paso?
George Rivas was born in El Paso, Texas.
El Paso.
Do you see why I struggle, people, with the Patreon shoutouts? Because I can't pronounce regular words, let alone names. Hard. Okay, George was a man who could have achieved great things. At 6 feet tall and weighing 231 pounds, with brown hair and brown eyes, George had a rugged appearance, but a soft-spoken voice and a larger-than-life ego. He was described as intelligent, well-spoken, and friendly, with a fascination for guns, even naming his two dogs Ruger and Beretta.
Oh.
Which are actually great names for dogs. They like sound good.
I definitely like Ruger.
Yeah, I like.
I don't like
want him to be
as much.
I want him to be a Rottweiler. Ruger the Rottweiler.
Oh, I was picturing like a bulldog for Ruger.
Oh, no, he's definitely a Rottweiler. Yeah,
Or
Beretta is maybe like a Chihuahua. I don't know. Okay, George grew up with his grandparents after his parents divorced when he was 6, and he cruised through high school without drawing much attention. Although he once aspired to become a police officer, ironic, he quickly turned to a life of crime. After graduating from Yaleta High School, which is funny because when I was writing this, my the Google Word doc was like Yale ? No. In 1988, he committed his first robbery and burglary the following year. Because he had no prior criminal record, he received probation for 10 years, and things were looking promising when he got into the University of Texas at El Paso. But I'm never going to be able to say whatever. Wait, did I say it right? No, I can't pronounce it.
Like El Paso.
Okay.
El Paso.
El Paso, not Paso.
That sounds New England.
Okay.
El Paso.
El Paso. Okay. But he dropped out after just 3 semesters. George's criminal career then began to escalate as he committed a series of robberies in Texas, Arizona, and New Mexico. His robberies were carried out with military precision, and he was known for using accomplices, disguises, and violent tactics.
Are you a forward thinker? Then you need an HR and finance platform that thinks like you do. Workday is the AI platform that helps propel your organization, your workforce, and your industry into the future. Workday, moving business forever forward.
In October 1992, he was involved in a robbery at a Radio Shack where he handcuffed an employee and stole cash and 2-way radios.
Oh man, shout out though to Radio Shack. Remember Radio Shack?
I don't know why we were there so often, but I distinctly
It was in the
remember
TJ Maxx Plaza.
Well, I wasn't. I didn't grow up here.
Didn't live
Sorry.
here. Okay, well, it was in the TJ Maxx Plaza.
Okay,
I think where like the smoke shop is now.
Oh, okay. There's a smoke shop on every corner now.
There is.
So.
Good luck finding us,
Yeah.
gremlins. Good luck.
Have you seen that guy on TikTok that like is in a random place and like sets a timer for people to find him?
No.
It's crazy. He'll be literally across the world and people will find him and he times it. So anyway,
That's
it's
fun.
Cool. It's pretty cool.
Let's do that.
Let's not do that. Yeah. Your giant window without a curtain is basically the same thing.
Yeah, let's do that. Come find us.
Don't say that. All right. Over the next several weeks, he carried out more robberies, including one at a sporting goods store where he stole over $5,000 in cash and 58 guns.
That's so many guns.
It's so many guns.
It's too many.
He was careful to. Okay, I also have to say that I saw a news thing recently about a guy who was like involved in a road rage incident with a machete, and all I could think of was our discussion on how many machetes make it like indicate that you have a hobby.
Wasn't it samurai swords?
Oh, was it? In my head, those are very different. Well, they're not very different, but
swords and machetes. But yes.
Anyway,
I said he was an avid collector of samurai swords. He had two or three.
Anyway, that's all I thought of. Okay. I don't know if I said this. He was careful to avoid leaving traces, even threatening the victims to prevent them from reporting the crime.
Okay.
George's robberies continued in 1993 with him he was a distinguished fake security guard. He was disguising himself as a security guard during a robbery at a Toys R Us also.
Oh.
However, maybe it's because of all these robberies that they went out of business. I just saw Joann's is closing a bunch of stores.
I know. I'm
really sad about that.
Yeah, I got a text and I said, no.
I know. Okay. One employee during this robbery managed to escape and call the police, setting off a tense standoff. Probably was using one of those 58 guns.
So many guns.
When officers arrived, George and his accomplice took the remaining employees hostage, holding them at bay for over 3 hours. Negotiations went nowhere. And that's when the SWAT team stepped in. In a calculated raid, they stormed the store and found George hiding in an air conditioning duct. This is like straight out of a movie.
Yeah, it is.
Sporting a blonde wig. Which is really funny.
Right next to Jeffrey the giraffe.
Yes. This is like my 14th reference of my son in this podcast. But he says instead of giraffe, he goes raff.
Oh,
it's also very cute.
Cute.
Okay. Alongside him, officers recovered several stolen guns from a prior heist that we already talked about. With his arrest, the spree of local robberies came to an end. What a coincidence. But law enforcement suspected George's reach went far beyond El Paso, tying him to crimes across Texas, Arizona, and New Mexico. In the days following his capture, employees from multiple stores stepped forward, identifying him as the man who had terrorized them. At trial, George tried to convince the jury it was all a misunderstanding. He claimed he'd actually been out to dinner with his wife at the time of one of the robberies, insisting the witnesses just had it wrong.
He's like, I wasn't at Toys R Us, Radio Shack, Linens and Things, Kmart, Caldor. Wasn't at any of those places.
Joanne.
No, don't put that in the list.
Don't put that evil on me. The jury didn't buy it, and one by one the charges stacked against him. Multiple counts of aggravated armed robbery, kidnapping, and burglary. He soon joined the others on the Connolly unit, which I'll tell you about now.
Okay.
The John Connolly unit, a maximum security prison in Why are all these words so hard? Karnes County, Texas.
Karnes
County, Texas.
Oh, can I just tell you, I was looking up a statute today, and it was like, this doesn't apply if it's in a county with less than 50,000 people. So I was like, how many people are in this county? It was like 4.38 million. I was like, it's a lot.
That is a lot.
Texas is very big.
I forget because it's just little up here. And yeah, so that's funny. Well, I don't know how many people there are in Karnes County. So
is it Karnes or Cairns?
I don't know.
Cairns. How do you spell it?
Karnes.
Karnes.
Yeah, right? Could go either way. Well, it sits just outside of Kennedy, which I can pronounce, but it's only one N. So 62 miles. So people are like, this is not what we meant by details.
Right.
I don't need to know how to spell every word.
They stopped listening during the Patreon shout outs anyway, so it's fine.
So it's back to normal. I'm just talking to you. Perfect.
Yes.
This is 62 miles southeast of San Antonio. On December 13th, 2000, inclement weather disrupted the prison's daily routine. Outdoor work crews, like the Inside Yard Squad, were given the day off. However, inmates with indoor jobs continued their duties. This change in routine became the foundation for an audacious escape. At 11:20 a.m., guards escorted 20 inmates from the maintenance department back to their housing areas. Supervisors then left for lunch, just as George and his group of co-conspirators had planned. Earlier that day, George, Joseph, Randy, Larry, and Donald persuaded maintenance supervisor Patrick I wrote down the pronunciation of this one. Michigemba. That's his last name.
I believe you.
To let them stay behind to wax and seal the department's floors. This favor gave them private access to the area. To enhance their cover, they asked for another privilege, eating lunch in the maintenance area, using food purchased from the commissary instead of joining the general population in the dining hall.
2 soups.
What is that from?
My life.
Oh. What?
2 soups. I just always, inmates barter. It's like, give me 2 soups. 2 soups. Me and my husband say that all the time.
Okay. I needed a lot more.
It's from the life of Marina.
Okay. The request seemed innocent enough, and Michigemba agreed, staying behind to supervise them. 2 more inmates joined the plan. Patrick Murphy was permitted to remain in the maintenance department to assist with the project, while Michael Rodriguez whose outdoor work was canceled due to the weather, devised a separate way to join. After visiting the law library, Michael convinced guards to let him enter the maintenance area, claiming he needed to pick up trash. Guards unknowingly positioned him as the group's lookout. By 11:30 a.m., the escape plan was in motion. Michigemba, dressed in a flannel shirt, jeans, and boots, sat at his desk when George approached him, claiming he was needed in the warehouse. Michigemba complied without suspicion. Once in the warehouse, George and Larry distracted him by pointing out a motor on the floor. As Michigemba bent down to inspect it, another inmate struck him in the head with an axe handle, rendering him temporarily unconscious.
I thought you were going to say with an axe.
No, just the handle. Yeah,
okay.
Just the handle. When Michigemba regained his senses, he struggled but was quickly subdued by Joseph, who held a handmade knife to his throat and said, "A few more years to our sentences doesn't mean anything to us. We'll kill you if we need to."
They call that a shank.
Yeah.
You're like a handmade knife.
Okay, yeah. Well,
a shiv.
2 soups.
A shiv.
Okay. Sorry.
Shank?
Shiv.
Shank? Is it shank or shiv?
Shank and shiv. I know both of those things.
Okay.
I didn't say either of them, but it's or shank, shiv, or handmade knife.
It was a DIY murder weapon.
Maybe. See, oh, man, I was going to make a Joanne's joke, but we're going to rein it back in. The inmates stripped Michigemba of his clothes, tied his hands and legs, and gagged him, covering his head with a pillowcase. They dragged him to the electrical room at the back of the warehouse, forcing him to lie down on the floor. With Michigemba neutralized, the group ransacked his office. By the way, I wouldn't have said his last name so much, but there's another Patrick is one of the inmates and him, and I thought it was going to get confusing, but it's actually harder. They stole his keys, sunglasses, watch, wallet, and $30 in cash. From the tools room, they grabbed wire cutters, hacksaws, bolt cutters, and a utility knife, essential for their escape. Michael, who had been keeping watch outside, joined the others in the maintenance department to assist with the next phase. By 11:45 a.m., Alan Camber, another maintenance supervisor, and Officer American returned from lunch, taking their seats in the maintenance office. George, Randy, Larry, Patrick, and Donald entered, engaging them in conversation. Patrick and Joseph approached Camber under the pretense of needing help with a vacuum cleaner part. This has been a very long case.
You can do it. You could do it.
The ruse worked perfectly, diverting attention. In an instant, the situation turned violent. George wrapped American in a bear hug, while Joseph launched a surprise attack on Camber. As American struggled, the others, Randy, Larry, and Donald, forced him to the floor. His uniform and shoes were stripped away, and his hands and legs were bound with plastic ties and duct tape. When American resisted being gagged, Donald punched him in the nose. The strike opened American's mouth, allowing them to force the rag in. The convicts robbed him of his watch, keys, ID card, and $65 in cash before dragging him also to the electrical room, where they placed him next to Michigemba.
Patrick.
Yes. Hello, this is Patrick.
Patrick number 2.
Anyway, they put him next to him. Meanwhile, George helped Joseph overpower Camber. I wrote a pointed object, but it's the shank. Still
or
the
shank.
Shiv. The shiv. The handmade
knife.
DIY knife. This is going downhill, people. But we're almost done.
We're like halfway through.
No, we're more than that. This is why it's 2 parts, though. There's a lot happening.
Yeah.
So he put a knife against Camber's ear, accompanied by his threat, "Stay still, or this goes all the way in," which would be awful. Terrified, Camber complied, surrendering his black jeans and boots. He was stripped, bound, and robbed of $60 cash, his pocket knife, and ID before being dragged, of course, to the electrical room.
I keep thinking you're going to say electrical chair.
That would be awful.
I know.
That would be really awful. No, just the room.
So many murder
Just the room.
sentences.
Yeah. A blow to the head knocked him unconscious, and they secured a pillowcase over his face with duct tape. By noon, the next targets arrived. Maintenance workers Manuel Segura and Mark Burgess returned from lunch, walking straight into the trap.
Is it Manuel or Manuel?
Did I do that
We've
again?
been through this
we have
before.
Manuel. I don't know. I'm real stressed about names, and I was like, Laura, don't make any more comments about names. But here we are.
They shall call him Emmanuel.
I think we had exactly this conversation.
I think we did.
Okay.
Manuel.
Oh man, I'm sweating now.
I know.
Okay, George lured Burgess into the warehouse, claiming Michigemba needed assistance. Inside, Randy pretended to inspect a motor, drawing Burgess closer. With precise timing, another inmate struck Burgess in the back of the head with the axe handle, leaving him stunned. As Burgess regained consciousness, sharp object, it's the shank, pressed against his neck, and George leaned in and said, "This is no joke. We go home or you go home or not. It's up to you." Mm-hmm. Joseph followed with his now signature threat, putting the shank against Burgess's ear. Burgess, stripped of his wallet, social security card, and credit card, was bound and gagged before being put with the other captives. Segura fell for the same ruse, walking into the warehouse only to face similar treatment. Visibly shaken, Segura pleaded for his life, and George said, "If you stay quiet, nothing will happen to you." At 12:20 p.m., Jerry McDowell, a recreational specialist, my God.
You got this.
I will. You'll figure it out. You can guess. Known as Coach, entered the maintenance office and found George, Randy, and Patrick unsupervised. "Why are you guys alone?" he asked. George smoothly replied that Michigemba had stepped away but would return shortly. McDowell requested a toolbox, prompting Patrick to retrieve it. After signing it out, McDowell left. George, thinking quickly, followed, because again, they didn't want him didn't want him to go be like, "Oh, by the way, I saw those inmates." They tried to lure him back, but McDowell declined, and the prisoners were frustrated. Minutes later, 3 additional supervisors, Mark, Martin, and Ronnie, returned from lunch. The convicts wasted no time. They, by the way, had 5 people held hostage at this point already, and this was now 3 more.
Didn't anybody realize that people went missing for like hours?
I think it's because it was like right after lunch. Everything was like kind of in transition, and what I'll talk about in part 2 is like they had just been lax. Like everything kind of like all these prisoners had good behavior. Nobody was given any trouble.
I'm so stressed out. I'm peeling all of my cuticles off.
You're stressed.
It's like my worst nightmare.
I have to repeat every sentence like 6 times to get through
I'm like
it.
reliving it.
I know. The first target was drawn into the warehouse under the guise of checking a shelf. Donald grabbed him in a headlock and George forced a gag into his mouth. Struggling violently, he was subdued only after being punched twice in the nose and threatened with a shank. Once bound, he was added to the growing group. Next, Larry approached the other man, coaxing him into the warehouse under false pretenses, of course. He was overpowered, bound, and put with the others. And then the last man, who was working in the electrical shop, was approached by Joseph, who offered him food. So I think he was like trying to draw him in. The guy declined it. And moments later, Patrick walked in and said, "Oh, Michigemba wants to see you in the warehouse." So they were just trying to collect everybody so that when they walked out, nobody would see them. Mm-hmm. He complied, walking into, of course, an ambush. "Don't resist and you won't be harmed," he was warned. He complied and was stripped, bound. I'm really just like, we're gonna be okay getting through this. He was, yes.
I'm just sitting here thinking, do you get shanked with a shiv? Like, is shank also a noun, or is it the verb?
Oh,
let's consult the experts. Is it a shank?
He's like, "I put in noise canceling headphones so I don't have to listen to you bitches." I don't think that's a joke.
I think
actually,
you're shanked with a shiv.
You shiv someone with a shank.
Really?
You shiv someone with a shank? What? To shank. To shank or not to shank. Okay.
So you shank someone with a shiv.
Yeah.
No, didn't you say you shiv someone?
Okay, now I'm really not.
Knife, a DIY knife.
Now it seems like I wasn't doing so bad.
No,
Actually,
you're doing good.
We should go
You're
back
doing
to
good.
this.
Okay.
By 12:25 p.m., 7 inmates had neutralized nearly every maintenance worker and officer in the area.
Insane.
The captives were bound, gagged, and secured, as we know, in the electrical room, not the electrical chair. Although that'd be funny. It's the electric chair, not the electrical chair. Unaware of the full scope of their plan. At 12:40, Terry Schmidt, another maintenance supervisor, returned from lunch, escorting 2 inmates not related to the 7. George met them and told Schmidt that Michigemba needed to see him in the warehouse. It worked the last 6 times. As soon as Schmidt entered the warehouse, several of the soon-to-be escapees attacked him.
And there's just like a pile of COs in the warehouse.
Literally. While he was being restrained, Patrick went to the maintenance office to speak with the other 2 inmates. We're having a spread in the back, he said, like a picnic spread.
Oh my gosh.
And invited them to join. They declined, but one of them did decide to head to the warehouse. I'm like trying to reduce the number of names here. That's why. There's so many different players. That's why I felt the need to include all the names.
I get it.
But it's making it harder to read it all. George, when this inmate went to the warehouse, George punched him in the face.
Okay.
Upon arrival.
It's his go-to.
Dazed, he swung back, but another inmate hit him in the back of the head again with the axe handle. Meanwhile, Patrick forced the other inmate into the warehouse, where he was also struck with the axe handle. So they're very consistent.
Yes.
Both inmates were bound just like the others and taken to the electrical room. So we have 11 hostages at this point.
Insane. Well, it's like, if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
They just one by one.
They're
what
like,
are they
this
gonna
is working like gangbusters.
Exactly. And it must have been far enough away that, they're gagged. You can't hear anything. It's closed. So.
Yeah.
At 12:45 p.m., a correctional officer entered the maintenance officer to check out a
maintenance
hitch.
office. He entered the officer. It's just got triple X rated.
Sorry. Did he shank or shiv him?
He did something to him.
All right. Anyway, the CO, another Randy, entered the maintenance.
Oh, he's Randy, all right.
I'm already struggling enough.
Sorry, I couldn't let it go.
No, I'm glad you corrected that one, because
Okay.
I would have listened back and been like, oh God, that's awful.
Yep.
So he went to, just for like something I'll just read it. I'm trying to, I feel like I'm like melting down. So I just want to kind of like get through, but the whole point is talking about what happened. So
yes.
This correctional officer, Randy, you're making me laugh at that, entered the maintenance office to check out a hitch for his unit's utility vehicle. He was immediately uneasy upon seeing only inmates in the office without supervision. Knowing such situations were against prison regulations, but not uncommon, he asked where Michigemba was. George responded, in the warehouse. You should check it out. So he entered the warehouse and immediately sensed something was wrong. He spotted a handheld radio and keys on the floor, but before he could act, 3 inmates attacked him from behind, forced him to the floor, and placed a shiv in his face. Now, the CO actually grabbed the knife or the shiv and like bent the blade, but he was hit by the axe handle and was dazed. The inmates handcuffed him with his own cuffs, tied his legs with rope and tape, and dragged him to the electrical room. As the CO was being restrained, Michael taunted him, saying loudly, "We cut off ears for souvenirs, and there's a lot of ears in here."
Oh my gosh.
24 to be exact. At 1 p.m., another, if you can believe this, another man, Lester Michigemba. Different.
What?
I know. I don't know why.
Okay.
Yep. He was another maintenance supervisor, and what are the odds? Just what are the odds they'd have that name? And another inmate returned to the maintenance department. They picked a very busy place.
Yeah, I guess.
To be there. They returned to the maintenance department from the boiler room to dispose of a piece of metal. Michigemba, the second,
Lester
noticed the maintenance truck parked unusually inside the shop area with the overhead door locked, something that rarely occurs unless supplies were being moved. His suspicions grew as he scanned the area. Before he could act, Donald approached him with a shank and warned, "You'd better stop while you're ahead." Lester tried to push Donald's hand away, but Donald escalated by putting the shank to his throat. "I'm very serious. I don't want to hurt you, but I will if you don't lie down and cooperate." Fearing for his life, Lester lay on the floor where Donald and Randy bound him, placed a pillowcase over his head, and can you guess it? Yeah.
And put him in the electrical warehouse?
Yeah. He did.
Yeah.
It's like the maple kind, yeah. Well, Lester was being restrained. Patrick attacked the inmate that he had brought and stabbed him in the left ring finger, which is a little bit
That's
of
rude.
I think that might have been an accident.
It's rude.
George and Joseph quickly bound him with duct tape and placed him with the other captives.
How big is this room?
Big enough for 14 people.
Okay.
14 people they managed to do that, to bring in there. They were satisfied now that everyone was accounted for, so they locked the electrical room door from the outside and began the next phase. At 1:05 p.m., and I actually didn't look at how long it was, but I think it was, they started this whole thing at 11:20 a.m. So this is just less than a couple hours. It's crazy. Also kind of a long time. It's simultaneously like really quick to do all that.
Do you know how long that amount of time would feel if you're just sitting there?
Yes.
Like hoping nobody comes and 14 people come.
Yes.
So many people.
And it's a long time to like manage to not be, people kind of knew where they were. Like the COs kind of knew where they were, but it's a long time.
That's a long time.
So at 1:05 p.m., they realized that one of their captives had managed to free themselves when one of the inmates attempted to enter the electrical room and found the door was barricaded from the inside. Thinking quickly, George and another escapee secured a cable to the door and used a winch because they're in the maintenance department, so they have a lot of stuff, and they kept it closed, ensuring their captives couldn't escape. George, now impersonating a supervisor, then telephoned the A turnout officer, the number 3 building desk officer, and the 1819, I don't know why it's relevant.
Okay.
But that's what they were, turnout officer. He informed each that only a skeleton crew of prisoners would return to job assignments after lunch. Reducing scrutiny. I forgot there was the rest of the sentence. Reducing scrutiny on the maintenance department and buying them more time. At 1:15 p.m., a CO from the prison's central control area called the maintenance department for the head count, which I'm surprised wasn't more frequent.
He's
Maybe
like
they did
87.
George answered the call and instructed one of the escapees to impersonate Lester Michigemba.
Mm-hmm.
The officer informed the man he thought was Michigemba to call the lieutenant for the count. When the inmate placed the call, he included the 3 subdued inmates, the restrained prison employees, Michael, who wasn't in maintenance, George, and the others, and this ensured the head count would balance and raise no suspicion. Which, like, I've lost track of who came in and who was where, so I'm actually kind of impressed that
Your freedom's not on the line.
True. I also can't read, so, that's part of it.
It's like 1 hostage, 2 hostages,
At 1:20 p.m., another CO who was assigned to the back gate Sallyport received a call from someone posing as a maintenance supervisor. The caller claimed maintenance employees would be installing monitors at the back gate area, and this seemed like a legitimate reason to him, as similar work had recently occurred elsewhere in the prison, so he had no reason to question the request. Mm-hmm. While this was happening, George worked on a plywood and cardboard shelter in the back of a truck brought in earlier that day for a supply trip. The shelter would hide the inmates dressed in prison whites during their escape. At 1:40 p.m., George and Randy, who are now dressed in civilian clothing stolen from the maintenance supervisors, arrived at the back gate picket area in a utility vehicle. They were accompanied by 2 inmates in prison uniforms who followed procedure by using the Sallyport to walk to the pedestrian gate. Expecting the maintenance crew, Officer Lou Gips allowed the inmates to enter the fenced area and opened the vehicle gate for the utility vehicle. Gips made arguably the biggest mistake of the day because he didn't check their identification. Had he followed prison policy, I might not be telling you this case. Inside the gatehouse, George and Randy carried monitors and wire, furthering their ruse, so they looked all official. While one of the other COs was distracted by a phone call staged by another inmate, George attacked him, forcing him to the ground, binding him, and locking him in the restroom. While this CO was subdued, Randy approached the exterior gate, identifying himself as a maintenance worker. Officer Gips, again seeing no apparent threat, allowed Randy to pass. Once inside the tower, Randy received another staged phone call from an accomplice. While on the call, he grabbed a .357 Magnum revolver from the desk, pointed it at Gips, and declared, "This is an escape. Cooperate if you don't want to get hurt." Oof. Can you imagine?
No.
Like, this guy is like, oh shit.
I'd be like,
can you, like, you must literally think like you're dreaming.
I know.
You're like, this can't be possible. Randy demanded that Gips open the picket door and vehicle gate. Fearing for his life, Gips complied. Randy then tied Gipps with his own belt and shoelaces before collecting weapons from the tower, including a shotgun, an AR-15, and 14 revolvers.
Shit.
Randy called the maintenance department to signal that it was safe for the others to leave. The remaining escapees drove the truck out of the maintenance garage, picking up George, Randy, and Patrick. Armed with the stolen cash, the group finally escaped through the back gate and onto the perimeter road, vanishing into freedom.
This is quite the tale.
It is. And obviously I'm having a difficult time reading it through, but I was like, it literally is like a movie. I wanted to know, because I don't know about you all, but like, I just wanted to know every detail about how on earth they orchestrated this. Because obviously you can't just be like, I think I'll leave now. You know, it's just so crazy.
Wow.
As the seven sped down the perimeter road, CO Lou Gipps, having freed himself, ran up the guard tower stairs. From there, he saw the white truck and used his radio to request assistance, reporting the escapees' direction. Warden Timothy Keith, present with a police officer, heard the distress call and immediately ordered a lockdown, while the officer notified local law enforcement to be on the lookout for the truck. CO Barton Olson, returning to the prison, realized he had seen the truck earlier in downtown Kennedy, because they're in a vehicle. It's pretty easy to get away. After hearing the radio report, he reported the truck's location, but by the time the police arrived, it was gone, obviously.
Yep, that's how trucks work.
Yes, and escaped prisoners. Within the hour, all available law enforcement was mobilized, including the Karnes County Sheriff's Department and Texas Highway Patrol. Officers were stationed 1,000 feet apart along Texas Highway 99, watching traffic and checking IDs. At 4 p.m., the white truck was found abandoned behind a Walmart in Kennedy. Investigators checked ATM footage from a nearby machine and noticed two vehicles, one of which appeared to be a dark two-door compact car, possibly a Chevrolet, I hate that word, Chevrolet Cavalier or a Pontiac, LOL, Sunbird. The description was vague, but the information was circulated to law enforcement and the media, suggesting that the convicts might have had outside help. However, the trail vanished at the Walmart. Overnight, authorities conducted a widespread search with hound dogs, helicopters, and manpower. An apartment complex near the Walmart was searched thoroughly, but no trace of the fugitives was found. The men, unknown to the authorities at the time, had spent their first night in San Antonio, likely taking US 181 from Kennedy. By the next day, December 14th, authorities began to scale back their search in Karnes County, acknowledging that the escapees could basically be anywhere.
Right.
They also warned the convicts' families in San Antonio not to harbor them and urged anyone, of course, with information to come forward. I don't know why you would, urge them to not come forward.
Right.
Despite many calls from concerned citizens, none proved useful and the search continued. The seven had ended up at a Radio Shack in Pearland, Houston suburb. Earlier in the day, Donald and George had visited the store, asking employee Michael Drab, who was 19, about lens caps for binoculars and requesting to use the restroom. After leaving, they returned just before closing time, announcing their intent to rob the store. This poor kid.
Closing time.
Thank you. Michael, frightened, began to hyperventilate.
Oh.
Donald, reading Michael's name tag, reassured him, Michael, we're not here to hurt you. Now everyone empty out all of your pockets. Donald collected wallets, money, and loose change from the floor. When one victim asked for his keys back, Donald agreed, returning the keys and even handling the credit cards by their edges to avoid leaving fingerprints. Meanwhile, Jim Drab, who was 53, was driving to pick up his son, Michael, from the store around 10 p.m. He obviously didn't expect to encounter escaped prisoners. George, seeing him park, inquired about him and learned that he was Michael's father. So George approached Jim, pretending to be a store employee, and casually asked for a Dr. Pepper. He was like, can you just go buy me a Dr. Pepper? Michael's a little busy right now. After Jim agreed, George handed him $4 and then walked away. But before Jim could get out of his van, this whole thing is very bizarre. But then George returned, leaned against the van, and revealed a handgun inside a cardboard box and said, I don't know how to tell you this, but you caught us in the middle of a robbery. Isn't that the strangest thing of how he handled that? George explained that Michael and the others were tied up in the back of the store and no one would be harmed if Jim cooperated. Realizing the distraction was to keep him away from the robbery, Jim considered fleeing. Which, are you kidding me?
Your son is inside?
Or faking a heart attack, which maybe was kind of okay, but then chose to go into the store fearing for his son's safety. Inside, maybe everybody would think that way, and this guy just, admitted it,
Right, and you'd go get help.
Right.
Yeah.
Inside, Donald and George had already bound 4 employees and 2 customers in the bathroom, making them lie down on the floor. The escapees tied Jim up and forced him into the bathroom with the others. They took Jim's wallet and proceeded to rob the store of thousands of dollars, electronics, and police scanners. The victims, terrified, were uncertain if the robbers would return and harm them, but fortunately, Donald and George took the stolen items and left the store without further violence.
Good.
As the Texas 7 continued to evade capture, their desperate escape was nearing its breaking point. They had managed to find temporary refuge in Farmers Branch, a nearby town, but the law wasn't far behind. Then, on December 19th, 2000, tragedy struck. In a tragic and violent turn of events, the Texas 7 would be responsible for the cold-blooded murder of a police officer.
Oh, no.
Leaving a trail of bloodshed in their wake. It would be a crime that would shake the city, raising the stakes of their escape to a whole new level. But the murder wouldn't be their undoing. Even with this horrific act, the Texas 7 would remain on the run, evading law enforcement for weeks to come.
Wow.
And we will talk about that in part 2 because I cannot read anymore.
I can't wait to hear about it.
Woo!
I was hanging on your every word.
Which were many.
There were a lot of words.
There were many of them.
Yes.
So that was part 1. And if you made it this far, God bless you. You know, it was a tough one.
You're really with us.
I tried real hard. Okay.
You did.
I tried. I gave it my best. All right.
Now every time I eat old El Paso, I'm going to think of you. El Paso.
El Paso. Well, if by some miracle you're still enjoying listening to Grimm, make sure you're getting the most in between episodes. You can subscribe to our Patreon. I'm not sure I'm going to be able to make it through this whole thing.
You could do it.
You can subscribe to our Patreon by searching Grimm, a True Crime Podcast on the Patreon app or website, depending on the tier you choose. Oh, and Finney made an appearance. You'll get a shout out like you heard 15 billion of them at the beginning of this episode. You'll get access to our monthly bonus episodes, or you can even join our supremely awesome Discord server. If you don't want the commitment, no judgment here. We're on Buy Me a Coffee. Visit buymeacoffee.com/GrimmCrimePodcast to contribute a one-time amount. Make sure you follow us on our socials so you can stay up to date and check out episode pictures. You can find us on Instagram at Grimm Crime Podcast and on Facebook, Grimm:*A True Crime Podcast. If you have a case suggestion like Antonio, thank you very much. You can message us on any of those platforms, or you can send us an email at grimmcrimepodcast@gmail.com. Wherever you do listen, please rate us, or even better, leave a written review. Thank you so much for being here and staying here. And listen, learn, and stay alive until next time, because the future is grim.